ನಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. So very challenging when we have anyone has to take a session immediately after lunch hour. The first challenge is to keep everyone awake, and then hopefully if I can deliver something, I have to deliver, right? So very happy to see you all. Looks very energizing crowd over here. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ? ಬಾಗಲಕೋಟ್, ಬಾಗಲಕೋಟ್, ಮೈಸೂರು, ಕೋಲಾರ, ಶಿರ್ಸಿ, ಬೀದರ್, ಮುನಿರಾಬಾದ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಗೋವಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾನು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು ಹುಬ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ. ಹುಬ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಬೆಳಗಾವದಲ್ಲಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಐ ಡಿಡ್ ಮೈ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮೈಸೂರು. ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಗುಡ್ ಮೆಮರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್. ಐ ಪಾಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ SBM. ಯಾರು ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ, ಚಾಮುಂಡಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಐ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ದೇರ್. ದೆನ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಪ್ರಿಟಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇನ್ ಧಾರವಾಡ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ Haveri and Uttar Karnataka district. So almost every week I go to Shirsi to visit PSS and some work I am doing in that region with startups. So good. I went through what all has happened in the last 4 days, and I think there is a lot that has been covered up. Okay. So last speaker ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, so what we'll do is that I also understand with this session, this entire seminar is over and they're all going back and preparing for tomorrow's pitches, I guess. Correct? So I'll try to be as concise as possible, short, simple, and ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to stop and ask. Okay? So today we see that entire world is talking about startups. Correct? It has become a kind of fashion, right? So earlier 10th ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೋ ಟು ಸೈನ್ಸ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದ್ದವರು ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಡ್. ಬಿಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಅ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಯಾರೇ ಏನೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಏನು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್, ಆ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ, ಈ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಡ್. ಸೊ ಟುಡೇ ಫ್ಯಾಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್. ಓಕೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ it is giving a lot of opportunities, and one can really pursue his passion. Correct? Because look at the things like the big companies cannot really solve all problems. ಅವರಿಗೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದ್ರೇ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ದಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್. they can take up and without any rules and laws, they can work and come with the solution. So startups have become a big fad across the world. So unicorns ella story keltirbekkalla ನೀವು, the companies that get over $1 billion of valuations, right? So it is becoming a fad, and it gives a lot of opportunity for students like you, because once you come out, either you go to some kind of a job, okay, or maybe higher studies, but even after that you have to take up either a job or do some kind of a enterprise. I will not call it as a business, I will call it as an enterprise. How it is different? Enterprise comes from enterprising, right? You be creative, you be innovative, and you solve the unsolved problems, thereby you can create a business. Okay, so I'll just try to take through a typical journey of a startup founder. What happens? My objective is that I want you to feel that journey, so that you can probably be well aware of the kind of things you might have to undergo once you become a founder. And I'm not really touching on the personal side of it, I'm only touching on the business side of it. Okay, so how's the one cycle of a founder is that first is that you come across some problem. Am I correct? right? So you see that this problem is there, it is not solved, and if this problem is solved, maybe I can create some kind of a solution for that. Okay, and then you sit across and work on the idea formation. Okay, so you see that this is the problem, and I have a solution that can solve this problem. Okay, and what is the typical thing that you need to do once okay, this is a problem that is not solved and I have a solution which can solve this problem? You have to go and assess the market size. Correct? If there is no huge market, what is the point in solving that problem? Right? You need to find out ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೌದು ಈ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ, ನಾನು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಏನಿದಾವೆ ಅವನು ನಾವು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೂ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ assessment of the market size that is available for you. So how do you do this? There are multiple things. I'll come when I'm going through the presentation. But what is important is that you need to assess how big is the market. If it is not big enough, there is no point in putting your efforts. Okay? And then once you also realize, okay, there is a sizable market, idu tumba so what is market size? So I kept saying that it has to be sizable market size. What is sizable market? Right? ಎಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡದಿದ್ದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅನ್ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅದು it is an individual target. Okay, so if you really want to do only in one district, assess the market size, and if that is good enough for you to fulfill your business objectives, fair enough, do it. It's not necessary that all of you have to pick up a global kind of a problem, right? You need not really look at that. If you have that appetite, okay, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, I don't want to set up a company or a firm that will only serve one district or half of the state or South India, or if your appetite is that I want to be a world level business organization, then you can choose that. Okay, but what I'm saying is that when you assess markets, it's realistic. If that fulfills your business objective, you can take it. Then once you see ಎಷ್ಟು market is okay, this is something good enough for me, there is a space for me to play my own game there and make my business work, you need to look into what is the competition scenario. Okay, when you are doing the competition analysis, you also look at who is your direct competitor and who can be your potential indirect competitor. Okay, so we say indirect competitor is something like they may not have your solution that you are planning for, but they have something similar and they are catering. Just to give a very weird example, let's say we want to go and have tea, and if the tea is not available, we might get we might get our desire fulfilled with even coffee also, or badam milk also. Okay, so these may not be a direct competitor, but they're always possibly that they can compete with your product or solution indirectly. So you need to really go and see who are your competitors and who could become your competitors in future. Okay, and based on that you put up your marketing strategy. Okay, so what is a marketing strategy? Basically is that your product or a service that you have, which is there in your office, which is there in your factory, how do you take it to your customer? Okay, that strategy you need to build. Okay, there is a systematic process of doing that. I hope some of the sessions were also talking around that, but we will take it in a very brief manner in the discussion. But that's what you do is that how do you make your customer know that you exist? How do you make your customer know that this is your product? How do you make your customer know that your product solves this problem? Okay, and how do you take your product from your factory to the customer? That's all becomes your go-to-market strategy. And what is the difference between go-to-market strategy and a market strategy? Go-to-market strategy is a short term, like if you are looking at what you want to do right now, in 6 months, 12 months, what you want to do. Okay, whereas marketing strategy can be a little longer term. And then obviously when you form all this, you need team to execute. Right? If there is no team, how do you execute? Because it's not about just building a technology. You need to build a completely diversified team that can take care of all the functions of any enterprise. Okay, you need finance specialist, you need tech specialist, you need support specialist, you need sales specialist, you need quality specialist, all those kind of skills that are required, and that kind of a team you need to form. Okay. Eventually, with all this, you will come to know whether your startup is viable or not. Okay, you need to validate. So all this process, you have to do it, few steps before you really get into action. Because once you get into action, then you cannot come back, right? So a lot of work, this piloting and validation, you have to keep doing it at every stage of your business. But even before you start, you need to do all these validations, all these exercises, and when you really step into your entrepreneurship, you have a lot of knowledge about that. Okay, and you ensure that this startup has a viable future, and that's when you go out and build your prototype, or I would rather say a slightly advanced version of prototype, which can go to the customer and be used. What we call as market viable product. And then the story starts. From there it's all grilling, because now you have done everything. You've got a product which is solving the problem. Customer is happy to pay that, pay money for that product or solution that you have. Now, how do you scale? Okay, and that's when the real entrepreneurship begins. Okay, this is the bigger, journey of a startup founder that goes through. We'll go a little bit in detail about these things, and then any questions also we can take it. So one of the first things is that you really need to make sure that your idea is well validated. Typically, India, we call it as a supply side economy. Okay, we are not a demand side economy. हम लोग कुछ बनाते हैं, कैसे भी करके बेचते रहते हैं उसको. Okay, that's the majority of our economy works like that. But there is some, CV insights which says that 42% of the startups fail for one single reason, because these founders go and find there was no demand for this kind of a product in reality. We feel there is a demand. We are all, as I told, we are a supply side, economy. So we always feel that, acha, this product namdu chennagide, idu idea chennagide, idu ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಖರೀದಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ನಾವು assumption ದಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು business start ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Okay, so 42% of the startups fail for one single reason, because the founders go make that product, go to the market, and then they realize, my God, there is no demand for this. I'm not saying when there is no demand, it doesn't mean zero demand. There is no sufficient demand. Okay, that sufficient which can make your business profitable. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು demand ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. Okay, and there's one beautiful quote by Abraham Lincoln which says that, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours in sharpening the axe. How important is that you get all your equipments in place before you even go and attempt. What we do the moment we see an axe, we just go and start chopping, and then we realize this is not sharp enough to cut the tree. Okay, so every founder has to be so sure that whatever product or a solution that you are planning for, make sure that it has a sufficient demand. And one important part for every founder is to be, he or she has to be very critical about our own thoughts, right? What happens is that, let's say I tell that this is what I want to do, and some person from the observation says, hey, this is not a good idea. We feel bad, right? So typically, we feel that anybody gives a critical feedback, we feel bad, right? I say that founder should be the biggest critic of himself. Everything, a founder should tell himself that, no, this is not correct, this is wrong. You keep asking questions, and that will help you to go and find the right answers. Okay, maybe what you are trying to do is correct, but maybe the way you are doing is not correct. And you may not get the right people to tell you this. We have to be our own critic. Okay, so that's very important part, that we should do enough research to make sure that whatever product or solution we are thinking to develop has very good market demand. Okay, that's the first step, because once you're sure that there is a demand, then half of your problem is solved there. Okay, it's all that you just have to go and do it. But imagine you spend a year in doing research and spending money, your time, your life, and then you realize this is a useless product or solution, right? To avoid that, that's the way to go about it. So how do you go and do a problem discovery? How do you find out a problem? One of the important ways is that, as I told you, that we have to be very, very self-critical. We have to keep asking questions to us. And the moment you see, this is a potential problem that you can solve, go and meet these four kinds of people. Okay, one is definitely the consumer. Okay, and there is a difference between consumer and a customer. Okay. Consumer is one who actually uses your product. Customer is one who pays for your product. Right? So for example, we say, let's say, Bonvita or Horlicks. It is typically consumed by kids, but the customer is mother, who generally does the purchase for the house. If you go to rural area, then it is the father who does all the purchases, right? So you need to identify when you're coming out with your, the problem that you say, okay, this is the problem that I want to solve. You go and ask the people who are suffering with that problem. Okay? So they are going to be your potential consumers of your product or solution. Okay? Have a lot of talk with them. Meet a lot of people from different places, different regions. Okay? To understand whether the problem that you're thinking really exists and how big the problem is, how serious the problem is. Okay? Then look at the customers, because they have to pay for it, right? The consumer might say that yes, this is my problem, but who is going to pay for it? The customer is. Sometimes the consumer and customers are same, but try to identify, because I am trying to make this talk a little more generic. So sometimes what would happen is that your consumer is different and your customer is different. So if it is different, go meet and see that what customer thinks about this problem, right? So for example, let's say I want to develop some technology for making the labor's job easier in the farm. So labor says that, oh, this is very good technology, you must bring this machine. But who is the customer here? The farmer or the owner of the land is the owner. He has to pay for that. You go and ask him, he says that I am not going to pay for that. It's okay. My neighbors will struggle for 2 more hours every day. I'll get the work done. I am not interested in paying that. Right? So you need to validate all these things. Also look at influencers. Okay, sometimes if it's a little technical product, so if you go in a village, you have always some specialists there, right? So they're considered as a little more intelligent, well-read, right? So if I want to buy some kind of a phone, I go and talk to someone who knows about phones, okay? Or let's say if somebody wants to buy a pesticide or something like that, there are some, I'm not really much, knowledgeable about the agri or horticulture field, but I know there are some these samsthas, KVKs and all that, where you get a lot of knowledge, right? So you also have to see that who could be influencer for your product or solution. Also talk to them. They're very important because they know how to communicate about your products to your customers or your consumers. Okay, they can bring that influences. Okay, that influence they can make. Go and talk to them, take their views. And also experts, the subject matter experts. It could be technology, it could be science, it could be from distribution or whatever. So find out who are the experts for the kind of product that you're developing, from all aspects, from production to selling to distribution to service, everything. You can go and ask them. And once you have you have validated the problem, that your consumer says this is a problem, the customer says this is a problem, I'm looking for a solution, can you develop this? Okay, and influencer also says that this is a very good idea that you're thinking, and I can at least tell 50 farmers who will listen to me and they'll buy your product or whatever. So when you have all the green signals from them, Also validate your product. So whatever innovation you are trying to bring, whatever solution that you are trying to bring, again have very close discussion with all these four people, a four section of people. That could be multiple people that you have to talk to, and make sure that you are creating a solution that has a great value proposition for people who are going to use it. Okay, and as I said, size of the opportunity or the market size that you need to assess. There are various ways to do that. There are primary surveys you can do. There's a lot of secondary research also available with the universities, or there are research agencies, or simply you can do a lot of Google. You will find a lot of reports and extract information from that and try and assess what kind of a market you are talking about. Okay, let's say you are trying to give some kind of a solution for jackfruit jackfruit growers, or you're trying to give something for arecanut growers, or you're trying to give something for fruit growing farmers, or for grapes or whatever. Try to assess how big the fields are, what kind of farmers are there, what is the average holding, all those relevant information you will have to assess. There are three ways to assess the market size. One is the total available market, world over, or nationwide or region-wide, wherever you want. What is your business objective? Assess how much market is available, and in that how much it is serviceable, because it's not necessary that everything is can be serviced. For example, let's say you have a solution that is only for the large farm holding farmers. Okay, so though the grapes growing farms could be into, let's say, 1,000 acres, but when you are focusing only on large farmers, or the big farmers, it could be only 300. Okay, so you need to find out what is the available market for servicing, and then what is that you can capture. Typically, no one can capture 100% market. It is not possible. The moment you start growing, you will see that a lot of competition will start coming in. So what is that you can capture? Even if you are capturing, let's say, 10% of that or 5% of that, and you can make profit, it's a good sign. And the competition analysis, you basically see that you list down all the competitors that can impact your business. Okay, and there are a lot of models, there are a lot of frameworks to assess how to do competition analysis. There's one which is done by Michael Porter. He's a strategic management guru world over called, and he says that if you analyze competition from 5 angles, you get a better perspective about your competitive market. I'll not get into this detail because this becomes more technical as a discussion. But you can simply search for Michael Porter competition analysis. You will get a lot of information on the Google. But yet in Q&A, if you want to do something, I can always take some questions. Okay, and then we look at go-to-market strategy. Okay, so just to rewind where we started, we were looking at problem discovery. Then we've had some potential solution. Then we looked at what is the market opportunity in terms of the size of the business that we can do, and then we do competition analysis. So when all this is in sync and it is giving a clear-cut signal for you that yes, this idea is good, this is a profitable venture that I can create. Now this has been typically an internal exercise. You're not actually exposing yourself to the outside world, because you've just gone around and done research, done studies, done Googling, all that, right? The go-to-market strategy, as I said, is the first step that you are exposing yourself to the external environment, because now you are really talking about, how am I going to reach out to my customers, okay? So if you see the center part of the framework, the marketing and sales cycle. How do you really first create awareness amongst your target customers? Okay, so once you create awareness, some portion of that will be interested. Okay, and then how do you convert their interest in better understanding of your product or solution? And you start engaging. Let's say you are looking at typically let's say mango growers. Okay. So how do you really reach out to them saying that this is my solution which can help you to increase your productivity by 20%? That's either you increase their crop output or you reduce their cost. Okay, so you create that awareness. Some of them might get interested, and for them you need to provide more information. So what kind of a communication material you're going to create? Are you going to create a video? Are you going to create audio? You're going to do social media? Whether your target customer is on social media, or yes or no, or you're going to take some you have electronic media like TVs and all that. So you need to have your strategy to take your message effectively to your target customer. Okay, and then you engage further. There will be queries, then they'll have 1,000 questions, and then you will answer them. And after that, of course, it leads to some kind of a trialing. And when you have initial customers, is then the purchase will happen, and then you start growing. Okay. Other things like brand positioning and what kind of a channels you want to create from your factory till your customer. Are you going to sell online? Are you going to set up your own distribution centers in a district? Are you going to use some kind of a government channel is available, right? There are this KVKs or whatever. Or you're going to use some kind of a dealer and then retailers kind of a model. Or are you going to FPOs? So various distribution channels can be created. You have to know that which is the right distribution channel for you to reach to your customer base. Okay, and then the segmentation of your customers, large farmers, small farmers, or FPOs, and all that you need to do that. Okay. One thing is very clear that whatever product or solution a founder is thinking about, it should have a very big innovation in that. If there is no innovation, if there is no unique value that you are trying to bring in, it is very difficult to sell. Okay, and also see that if innovation is strong enough to protect yourself from the competition, it is even better, right? It's very difficult today. Wherever there is a tech involved, people are able to do a kind of shielding their solution from competitors. Otherwise, people do reverse engineering and find out how you have developed the product and they come in. But it is important to see that if you can develop some kind of a competitive edge in that. Okay. So unique value proposition is very much clearly visible. Eventually, once you know that, what is your go-to-market strategy, taking your products to the market, you will understand, this kind of a, budget that I need to have for marketing and advertising, this kind of a sales team I need to have to take my products to the market. Okay, with all this information, the most important part comes to the financial viability, because businesses run on profits, and if you're not generating profit, the business cannot sustain for a long time. Okay, and you need to ensure that all this thing, whatever you've done from problem discovery to innovation, idea creation, uh, market size assessment, competition, go to market, all that you've done it looks very profitable or attractive business. But then what is important is that that should be viable financially, and you need to understand to do the financial projections. Okay, so as a founder you need to wear multiple hats. You cannot be only one person who will develop the product and you say that that's done. It doesn't happen. You need to develop a team. You need to first, as a founder, you need to develop understanding across all the facets of business spectrum. Okay, you need to understand how the technology works. You need to understand how to market. You need to understand how to manage a team. Okay, you also need to understand how the business finances work. So I have put it in a very broad structure, just giving you an understanding. What is your revenue model? First point, how are you going to sell your product? Are you selling it? Are you renting out? Are you trying to do both? Charge some money first and then you start charging some kind of a AMC or a subscription. What is your revenue model? And again, it cannot be a standardized revenue model because every product, every solution is different. You need to understand what's your market and you need to develop that revenue model. Based on that, you know what kind of revenue streams you can get. How much you are getting by selling the machine or a product, how much you are getting by providing some kind of further solutions to that. There are sometimes if you go into pharma industry, you sell equipment and then they keep selling consumables for that. Okay, so you need to identify what all streams from where you can generate sales for your business. You need to understand that, and then I typically call them top line, mid line, and bottom line. So top line is what money is coming, from where it's coming, how is it coming. Mid line is where you are spending. So when you're looking from a spending, there are two types of spending we do. One we call as a direct expense, another is called indirect expense, right? So direct expense is something related to your volumes. If you sell 10,000 machines, you need to buy raw material worth 10,000 machines. Okay, so like that. Indirect is something that is irrespective whether you sell 1,000 machines or 10,000 machines. You have to pay rent. You have to pay salaries. Okay, so that's again the direct expenses is variable to your business. Okay, indirect expense is a fixed expense. Whether you do big business or small business, you will have to incur that much of expense. So all those things you look at. One of the important cost that we always look is that how much it costs you to acquire a customer. Okay, and sometimes customer is only one-time business giver. You make efforts, he comes, does the business and goes. But there are sometimes customers are there forever, because today they have brought up, they purchase a machine from you, but lifelong they'll be using the spares or chemicals or whatever goes into that. So you need to assess what kind of a customer he is and what kind of money that you need to spend on acquiring customer. This is a very important cost point when you're looking of any startup viability. And then bottom line, obviously, what kind of profits they are making. It's not necessary that or rather I would say it is for sure when you start a business in the initial year there will be loss. Okay, it's very difficult to have any business that starts giving you profits from month 1 or month 2. Depends on the business. There are businesses which start earning profits only after 5 years, 6 years. There are businesses which will start earning profit after 1 year or 2 years, depending upon the business. But what is important is that you should know what kind of losses you will be incurring and how are you going to finance that. Because you might do a great job in everything here. You have nailed on the right problem. You have developed one of the finest solution. You have done a proper validation of the market. You are also selling well, but initially 1.5 years or 2 years you are going to lose money. And if you are not planned to get or to fill that gap, in 5-6 months you have a great business on hand, but you are not able to sustain it. Okay, so as a founder, whether you are a subject matter expert, okay, or you are a sales expert, okay, or you're HR expert. That's all required, but then you should have a very good hold on this part, because if your business cannot support, finances for sustainability of your business, so the startup cannot survive for long. Okay, and as I told, it is not necessary that the startups have to make profits from the moment you start. It will take its own time, but you should know that, okay, for so many months I am going to lose this kind of money, and how am I going to raise that money? Am I going to approach angel investors, or am I going to talk to my relatives and arrange money, or am I going to take it from the bank? Okay, so if I'm going to take from the bank, what all those things I need to prepare? If I'm going to take it from angel investors, what all preparations I should make? Okay, or are there any grants available in the government schemes? All these things we need to study in depth. I think there was a session on business model canvas. You all know. Can somebody tell me, because from last 40 minutes I've been talking all alone. What do you mean by business model canvas? Yeah, and always feel free to speak, because business is never mathematics. I always keep telling, because if it was a mathematics, all the engineers would have succeeded in doing business. Business is combination of, it's never a maths alone. So what do you understand by business model canvas? Okay. It's a readily available template about 2. Okay. Anybody else would like to add? Yeah. Very good. Okay. Fair enough. So this one page can talk everything about your business as a business model canvas, as we call. A very I think some 5-6 decades back it was developed by some management group, but it helps. Okay, so if you see, you have a one right portion, you have a left portion, and then you have a center portion, right? Try to understand from this point of view, so that you will always remember business model canvas. Then there is one top side and there is a bottom side. Okay, so if I really put this into quadrants, I see 1, 4, 3 is on the top right, 5, 6, 7 is on the top left, 8 is on the top, the left bottom, and 9 is on the right bottom, and number 2 is in the center. Okay, how it is significant? If you see the top right, 1, 4, 5, it all talks about the market. Okay, so we are talking about customer segments. We are talking about what kind of a customer service support we have, what kind of a relationship management system we have, and what are my distribution channels. So top right, it talks about your market. Okay, the top left is all your internal, right? Your factory, your resources, your machineries, your people. Okay, and the center point, if you see, is the value proposition. Okay, that connects your factories and your companies and your people with the market. And the downside, you see that cost structure on the left bottom speaks about the cost that you incur in managing 5, 6, 7. Okay, and revenue is from the market. Simplified? Understood? Yes or no? How many yes? Okay, rest all no? Or how many no? Okay, how many are clueless? I don't have fourth option. There could be only 3 options, right? Either you understand, you don't understand, you don't know what it is. But I don't see, 90% of the people are not raising hands. So you actually don't know where you are, right? Now understand, this is all very important. You have to live, when you're looking at a startup point of view, you have to live a practical life. There is no theory here. Okay? There is no theory. You will have to go out and work talk a lot, understand from them. Okay, so don't hesitate to say that I don't understand this, I want to learn. That's the, I think, first quality of any entrepreneur, that he should keep himself very much transparent. Boss, I don't understand, tell me how it is. A small customer will also teach a lot of business lessons to us. Okay, I'll just give you one example of how's the business model canvas of Swiggy. You all know Swiggy? So how many of you placed order from Swiggy? How many of you have not placed order? Okay, good. So this is delivery service provider, right? So look at what kind of a business model they have. Let's look at the first customer segment. How they have defined. They say that people who do not wish to go out to restaurant is my customer. People who want to order food online and want it delivered is my customer. People who want to buy and get other products delivered from nearby shops and stores. I don't know, in Bangalore and all, I think they are also delivering groceries and all. I don't know in other places, but Bangalore they are doing it. What kind of channels they have to reach to their customer? They have a mobile app, they have a website, and they have a digital presence. What kind of customer relationships they have? They have a customer service support 24/7, and they have a chat bot, and they have social media pages to engage and interact with their customers. Okay. Look at what value proposition they are bringing in. Food delivery with no restriction order policy, efficient online payment system, no minimum order requirement, different payment methods. Is it clear? What is their value proposition? This is what they are bringing into the customer. And look at the top left, the three quadrants. What are the activities they do? They sign partnerships with eateries and retail shops who have to prepare food and give. They hire delivery providers, okay, the delivery boys that they go and deliver. And they manage delivery and payment process, right? Some customer places order and somebody is delivering, and they are all tracking that. That's the key activity they do. What are their key resources? Local restaurants and shops and delivery boys, and the technology which connects both of these things. Who are their partners? Restaurant, shops, groceries, delivery providers. The kind of cost structure they have, they pay salaries and delivery charges and cost of developing their technology, website, managing social media websites. How they make revenues? They charge on deliveries. I think each order they charge some 50 rupees, and they make commissions from restaurants and their whoever is the vendor on their platform, and they also make some advertising and affiliate. Simple one sheet, they are putting out the business model. What is important is when you are putting this, it's not important to make the business model canvas. The important thing is that when you make the business model canvas, your insight about your business is much sharper, right? So if you ask me to explain my business and I take 15 minutes to tell my business to you, how difficult it is to make you understand. But the business is not small, the business is very big. But I have such good clarity that I can put my business on one page. It's called business model canvas. So when you make your business plan, I think there was also a session on business plan that you people have gone through. When you complete the business plan, and business plan is a very big, and it's not 10 slide or that 10 slide, 12 slide business plan is only to show a presentation to the audience. Okay, but in reality, business plan is that each aspect of business plan runs into pages, right? So when you're talking about financial projection, you cannot do financial projection on one slide. That will go in on 10 Excel sheets. Extracts, you put it on the slide. Okay, so what you do, the entire project report, as we call, right? The entire project report comes to business plan on few slides, and the entire business plan should come on business model canvas, okay, which talks about your business and all facets that are important in your business. Okay, one slide. This clarity, when it comes, it means that you have done a lot of work, and this is not one-time job. This keeps changing, right? Let's say tomorrow Swiggy might decide that okay, let's start distributing medicines. Okay, so they will enhance customer segment, those who want to order medicines online. And in the partners, they'll, from restaurant, they'll add pharma companies. On the customer side, they might add, or the key partner side, they might add doctors or hospitals, right? So all those, and that will affect again your cost structure, but will also affect your revenue streams. Okay, this is how you should be able to get a clear idea about your business model. Okay, and as I told, you know, uh, when you're really in the game, it matters, right? How good is your team? How you want to make use of. Let's really put it to, you must have had some team games like cricket or volleyball, and you do really real assessment, right? You just don't take Nino Barapa. If it's a competitive game, it's a friendly game. Okay, ठीक है. Whatever is available, you take and play. But when you're in a competitive environment, you try to build the best team that you can build, right? Sometimes you feel that. I may not be the best person to be in the team. Let me stand out and make these people for that particular circumstance or that situation, right? And you need to build that. I always feel that a bad team can screw up even the best business. But if the best team is there, they can even make an ordinary business successful. So team is very important, and you have to. I think today's business success depends on the team. Okay, and I think any person who can really identify the right people, who has that leadership quality of keeping people with him or her, or keeping them motivated, engaged, can make the businesses successful. So on one hand, I told you, what all business plans should have. So you might have a great problem on hand, you might have an excellent solution, nobody can copy it, you can take it to the global level, all that must be there, but if the team is not there to execute, it doesn't work. In many of the cases we have seen, a lot of companies with great business idea, great product have failed because they were not able to execute. Okay, so see, imagine as an entrepreneur, what all qualities that we need to have. Okay, we cannot be master of one thing. We have to be master of one thing, but we must be jack of all other things. We should know what is finance, we should know what is HR, we should know what are the laws, we should understand what is market, we should understand sales, So as you all might be specializing in horticulture as a subject, which is definitely one of the big sector which is growing in the last couple of years, which has almost overtaken agriculture in a sense, in terms of, if you really see the output per acre in terms of rupees, horticulture is far more higher than agriculture. You are in a good space, but you must understand all other aspects of the business so that you are able to make your startup successful. So this is again great quote by Steve Jobs. Great things in business are never done by one person, they are done by a team of people. And this is one slide which I always like to talk about. What is a minimum viable product? You heard this terminology, right? Minimum viable product. Minimum viable product is something that you can go and start selling. And I also, as a founder by myself of several businesses, and being part of a lot of startups, I've always seen typically, founder is attached with the product and solution so much that he won't let go that product out of, their heart. But I think founder should be able to detach himself from his product and solution is also important, because we, keep thinking about that product or a solution day in and day out, and we always feel there is, this loophole, there is this thing I need to improve, and we always focus on product improvement and not on sales. Okay, but outside world doesn't know about this. Outside world know that, okay, you have a solution, it's good, they want to take, or it's not good, they don't take, right? Most of the time your product is ready to ready for selling, but we don't do that aggressive selling work, thinking that our product needs more improvement. Okay, so if you see, the idea is that if you want to make a car and sell, you start developing from wheel, chassis to body to car. Okay, but a true founder, he will first, when the wheels are done, he'll start selling wheels. Then he'll start selling, whatever you put on stand and sell it as a cycle. Okay, then selling is important. The product, the dream that you have, it will take 3 years, 5 years, depending upon what kind of a complex technology it has. But you should be knowing to sell what you have. Okay, so the product development should not become infinite timeline. There should be always timeline. What I'll do in next 6 months, I should finish. 7th month, I start selling it. Okay, and then you go into phase 2. 7th month to 12th month, you get your 2.0, and that's how you develop a product, and not wait for reaching the ultimate product. Okay, that's not a advisable way to do that. This one slide I took it some time back. Why a lot of entrepreneurs have to pitch into agriculture as a larger domain. Today, agri and horti could be different domains, but from a larger point of view, if you see, over 40% of people who are directly dependent on this segment, and if you see, this adds only 25% to the value terms. Okay, so we see that what is the value of economy is on the basis of GDP. So if you see, 40% of the people of our country, we are about 140 crores. So we are seeing about 50 odd crore people are working in agri domain, and they are just contributing 25% to the value. Okay, so it shows that there is a lot of scope for modernization. There's a lot of scope for bringing in productivity through technology, through better processes, through better management. And you all coming from that background, I think you should be the flag bearers of this community, and you come out with great solutions, ideas, and make this segment grow. That eventually will help the entire Indian economy in prospering. I think I have a great motivation to do this. So I told that, as I don't come from this domain, just about maybe a year back, I started stepping into fields to really feel that I am highly motivated with this fact that there is a big scope in this field, which can eventually make our country bigger, stronger, and wealthier. So so as I said, these are solutions for profitable farming, which will lead to a healthy economy. So with that, I will close my talk. I hope this has been useful to you. But I'm open to any questions if you have. I can take it up. As I told, I come from entrepreneur's background. I don't know much about your sector knowledge, but any questions that come on how to build an enterprise, maybe I can answer your questions. So we have some time, we can take it up.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please share about the achievements and about your enterprises?
All right. So I wouldn't call it as an achievement. I feel there's so much to do, but I would like to share a little bit of story to give you maybe kind of encouragement. I don't say that I'll be able to inspire. I've not got that kind of a big career, but I'll tell you. So I as I told, my schooling was typically in village, and at the age of 15, I started my first business. I had a retail shop in Hubli, which was of gas appliances and home appliances. Gas stoves, lighters, cylinders, casseroles, mixies, and all this. And I literally mean that, I used to run all alone with my 2 staffs. 3 years I did that business, and because in our college, classroom attendance was not compulsory. So, I was sitting in a shop day and day night, like, my schedule used to start at morning because tuitions we used to go because we have to write exams, right? So, my day used to start at almost 4 o'clock because village background, so you are a Kannada medium student, you need to put more efforts to understand English first and then subject later, right? So I used to go for English tuitions, then accounts and all that I used to do. Then 9 o'clock my shop used to open until 8 o'clock I used to run. And after that, I had a small finance company, so I used to go there. In 3 years, I was like, enough, who wants to work like this? And then you have, from retail, I ventured into wholesale, thought I should develop the business, and wholesale became a credit sales. Every night I used to think, ये पैसा आएगा क्या नहीं यार, उसको phone लगाओ. And that time we didn't have, mobiles and all. I'm talking about 93. I think most of you are not even born, I guess, right? So we didn't, none of you. All are 2000, all millennials, is it? 2001, yeah, beyond after 2000. Okay. So we used to do landline, and landline phone used to do, they used to come online, what all those stuff. So I was like 3 years, I was like, enough now. And I told my father that, I want to study further, I want to do. So he asked, what do you want to do? So I remembered somebody saying MBA. So I said, I want to do MBA. He asked, what do you mean by that? I said, MBA is after BCom. Then he said, okay, you do it, but what are you going to do with the shop? Then I said, I'll sell it. And at those days, selling a business was, considered as a not good omen, because it was considered that, okay, you're not capable of running it. But then I had to, because I was very young, right? I was just about 18 years then. And 18, 19 years, so much of pressure, I didn't want to. Then luckily, I found someone who bought my business. In fact, he was one of my leading suppliers. I convinced him, see, now you are anyway giving me 40% supply, take this, you will become 100% owner, right? And he was, married, and so he said, okay, good opportunity, he bought. And I made money to support my education till I did my management. So basically after schooling, luckily it's not that, I did something, I think I was blessed to do that. So I sold that. I studied my graduation, then went to do my post-graduation. And after that, 2 years, good years in Mysore. I still remember and I still go there quite frequently. And then I got into job. I was an equity analyst with a portfolio management company. And I was handling about 200 crores of investment portfolio. I was working in Chennai. And then again, a home calling came. You have a more, those social responsibility, right? Because after all, family comes first. And I had to come back. I had to come back to Hubli, and I took over some of the businesses there. Very diversified. So I had a dairy. If you know that part, there is one village called Kalgatgi. In Kalgatgi, we had a dairy. We had a mineral water manufacturing unit in Hubli. We were the sole manufacturers for Bisleri brand then, but later I changed. I started my own brand. Then I was also having one factory in Harvard, which is into liquefied gas. The cylinders, you see that, right? At home we use cooking gas. So we had a private company. Again, I think whatever luck was there, 2008, just before, global recession started, I got opportunity to sell all these companies. So I sold all these 3 companies with very good valuation and made really good money. I was like quite known in the city by then. Then I got into I started a software company. Then I moved to Hyderabad, and a very beautiful product we developed. Excellent product, solves amazing problems. It's still running. It's for professional photographers, but it did not succeed as much as I was expecting. There were 2-3 rounds of angel funding talks were happening, did not materialize. At last, HP was interested in acquiring it, but that also did not materialize, and the company did not do as much as it was supposed to be. And with that, I was getting into different ventures by then. I started a unisex salon in the brand Studio Fringe. I have 2 salons. One is in Bangalore, one is in Hubli. I also set up a company with a couple of chartered accountants and company secretaries, which is into consulting, business consulting, startup consulting. And then I'm quite closely working with a lot of other startups. So my journey is still, on the way. It's not, achieved or whatever. But I feel there's a lot of learning. I really enjoy this part, and also my motivation to come here is basically, to meet the next generation. I'm really happy today to see you all. I think it's quite a energized set of people, and I understand this program has a lot of benefits for you. Make use of that. Entrepreneurship, comes from here. It has nothing to do with whether you did MBA and nothing. It's all comes from here. If you can, understand those things, how to deal with people, how to understand customer problems, you can be a good businessman. Okay, so that's in short, but okay. I'm happy to be here. Any other questions? Any comments? If you want to share, how did you find the session? It just helps me to make it better next time if I'm talking at other forums, or anything you want to add to this to make it, or any questions? Sure, no? Are we done for this then? Okay, alright, so I just close with this remark. I hope this session was useful for you, and wishing you all the best for all your future, and hope to see you all succeeding in your lives. Okay, thank you so much.